Hey, what's up? I am Anthopants. Mainly what I'm going to be doing is proving that no one in the Star Wars universe, no one who writes for Star Wars, actually understands what the Force is. They're all completely wrong. If you're listening to George Lucas and what George Lucas is saying about the Force, then you are being misled. George Lucas has no idea what the Force is. In the same sense that if I created 2 plus 2 equals 4, then the next year, I'm like, well, I don't think it equals 4 anymore. I'm going to just say 2 plus 2 equals 11D. And people are like, what's 11D? And I'm like, it's a number I just kind of like made up. So before I said something that made sense, and now I'm saying something that makes absolutely no sense. Those are almost like two separate things. So what the Force is in the original trilogy is not what the Force is in the prequel trilogy, and it's not what the Force is in Disney's trilogy. Let's prove it, shall we? Alright, we all remember this scene, right? We got Luke Skywalker. You got Obi-Wan Kenobi right here. And what Obi-Wan Kenobi says about the Force is that the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. A good way of thinking about this is gravity. So we don't actually know what gravity is. But what we do know is that anything that has mass has gravity. So for instance, I have a certain mass about me. I have a certain weight. Therefore, I generate gravity. I have gravity. You could say I create gravity. That's probably not technically correct, but it makes sense. So if you're a living thing, you create the Force. You generate the Force. Living things have the Force. Things with mass have gravity. That's the way this is working so far. Okay? That's the idea and the concept. Yoda then talks about the Force as well. For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. This is just sort of saying the same thing Obi-Wan is saying. These guys are still in sync with each other. The Force is similar to gravity. It's just this energy thing. We don't know what it is. We can't explain it. But we know that living things have it, that living things generate it and create it. And in the same way that maybe we could figure out how to tap into gravity and use it as our ally, these guys in this universe have tapped into this Force, and they're using that. They're using that as their ally. So these guys have agency, and the Force is something that they use as a tool. Either for good or bad. It's like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build something, or you can use a hammer to destroy something. Yoda's going to use that hammer for the good. Someone like Old Man McGee here is going to use the hammer to destroy stuff. But it's the same thing. It's that same tool. It's just tapping into that tool and using it. I like this. Okay, now we're getting into the prequels. So George Lucas, who created the Force as an energy field, right? Like the Force is equivalent to something similar to gravity, now completely changes what it is. Now the Force is a microscopic life form called midichlorians. That's a totally different thing. And the example and the quote of how this thing works is way different as well. Life forms living together for mutual advantage. Okay, that's two life forms now. This is two different things. This isn't an energy field. Without midichlorians, life could not exist, and we would have no knowledge of the Force. Okay. They continually speak to you, telling you the will of the Force. When you learn to quiet your mind, you will hear them speaking to you. So before, you're sort of the person with agency who can use the Force like a tool. If you are the carpenter, you are using the hammer and the saw as a tool. But you, the carpenter, are the one with agency. You are the one with the brain, okay? This changes it. This is saying that the Force has a prerogative, and that you are its slave. The Force is going to tell you what it wants you to do. So let's think about this for like 2 seconds, what this means, okay? Okay, so the Force has a, gosh, what is the word? I'm always doing this. I want to say like priority, but the priority isn't the right word either. According to the Phantom Menace, the Force now has intent. The Force wants something. The Force is your master. So what the trouble I have with this is that the Force is telling Qui-Gon to be a good Jedi. The Force is telling Palpatine to be a bad Force user. And the Force is confusing Anakin as to which one is correct. Like, is Anakin the one who's confused and is being led astray? Or is the Force leading Anakin astray? So when Obi-Wan's like, you're using the Force incorrectly, and Anakin's like, you're using it incorrectly, are they both right? And the Force is telling them different things? Is there like good midichlorians and you can tap into those, and bad midichlorians and you can tap into those? Or are the midichlorians just messing with them because they have agency and they're just like telling these guys, continually speak to you, telling you the will of the Force. They're just telling them the will of the Force. This is just what doesn't make any sense. It's like if you go to a mentor, like we both have a martial arts instructor, and you go to the martial arts instructor, and the martial arts instructor is like, you need to like be peaceful and not attack people, and only use your martial arts skills as a last resort. And you're like, that makes a lot of sense. And then I go, and the martial arts instructor is like, dude, you need to go like start punching people in the face, brah, okay? And you need to be using those Chuck Norris roundhouse kicks right inside of somebody's stomach. You know, just start kicking people right in the diaphragm with your cowboy boots. Like what? Okay, now we have the same instructor, the same sensei, who's telling us two completely opposite things. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand George Lucas's revised Force. These two things do not fit inside of the same universe. So George Lucas is either correct in the original trilogy or George Lucas is correct in the prequels. The problem is that I think George Lucas is correct in the original trilogy. One, because you got two Jedi saying the same thing, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. Two, because it actually makes more sense. The Force being a force, like gravity is a force, a mysterious thing. And three, because I just think it's too stupid to have it be midichlorians. It's just too stupid. Why would you do it? Okay, let's look into Old Man McGee. We got, Snoke doing some crazy Force stuff. Old Man McGee Snoke here, and then Snoke's quote. And we're going to see how Disney's Star Wars, once again, completely changes what the Force is. Snoke, raised for strange Ramadan, yada yada yada. Come closer, child. This is my Snoke impersonation. So much strength. That's bad. I'm just going to stop doing it. Darkness rises and light to meet it. I warned my young apprentice that as he grew stronger, his equal in the light would rise. So now the Force is not gravity. That's like, as the Earth's gravity rises, Mars's gravity will rise to meet it. Like, no, the Earth has more gravity, or maybe Mars does. I don't know which planet's denser. But basically, the heavier planet with more mass has more gravity. As the sun's gravity rises, so does Andromeda's. Like, I don't know, like, is Andromeda a galaxy? Okay, now I sound like an idiot. Never mind. So does Betelgeuse's. How about that? That's just stupid. That doesn't make any sense. So now you've gone away from what the original trilogies is, which is the Force is just something out there and you need to tap into it. Then it also goes away from what the midichlorians are as well, which is the midichlorians is this microscopic living life form, and Anakin just has a ton of them, and Yoda has a ton of them, therefore they're good with the Force. That doesn't fit this either, because Rey either had a ton of midichlorians, and so does Kylo, which means they're just naturally good at the Force, or Kylo has a ton of midichlorians, and as he gets better with the Force, the midichlorians start expanding and duplicating inside of a different being so that they could match Kylo. It's almost like the dark midichlorians and the light midichlorians, but we're not talking about midichlorians anymore, and we're not talking about an energy field. Now we're talking about some weird balance thing that's happening. Darkness rises and light rises. As the sun grows brighter, the absence of sunlight grows darker. What? These are three completely different uses of the Force. You have to pick one. You can't just be like, oh, I go with what George Lucas said, because George Lucas is saying different things. And you can't go with what Disney is saying, because they're saying something different than what George is saying. You can't go by what Lawrence Kasdan is saying either, because what Lawrence Kasdan is saying is different than what George Lucas is saying. George Lucas is saying two different things. Which one do you go with? And then Rian Johnson's saying something different too. So it's just, the whole universe is fractured. It's fractured. You can't go, there is no canon here because it's just all over the place. So then it just comes down to like, okay, what's my preference? Do I go with the original energy field? Do I go with the completely changed Force, which is midichlorians? Or do I go with, once again, the completely changed Force, which is darkness and light rising together, this sort of balancing scale? Which one do you go with? The Force just got stupid. It just got stupid. I don't know another way of saying. I don't know. Oh, it's an energy field. Oh gosh, why can't we go back to this? It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the universe together. Ah. What's the Force? It's an energy field. It's what it gives a Jedi is power. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I can believe that. Midichlorians, a microscopic life form that have willpower. They want you to do stuff. They're going to want you to kill younglings in the future. They might want you to kill younglings. What are you talking about? Oh, don't worry. When you get older, you'll understand. Well, if I don't understand it now, neither will other kids my age. This is stupid, brah.